Hey y'all, I'm Brittany Glaze. Welcome to Destination Whitetail.
Look through the scope, take a bead on him. Plow!
Gotta believe.
There's enough wild game meat for all of us.
Welcome to Texas, or more specifically, Northwest Texas, which is home to the Patterson Ranch.
It's beautiful country. It has a lot of different adversity. You get canyons, you get flatlands, you get shinnery brush, low brush, thick brush. So you got elevation changes, and that creates a lot of bedding areas for the animals.
We used to have 2,600 acres of farmland, and now we're down to about 700. Before we started the hunting, we were running 800 mother cows, and that's a lot of work. And my brother came to me and said, why don't we branch out into hunting, because we're having trouble finding help. So we started figuring out, got a guy to come out and help us show what to do, and then we decided to add a lodge and expanded it, and now we've been in the wildlife management program for 10 years and taken a lot of pride in the size of the deer and the change in the deer that we've gotten over the last 10 years.
Our average deer of the ranch was 115 when I first arrived, and now 10 years later we're trying to, we're up to about 125, and that's our average buck.
We've expanded our hunts to more than just deer. Now we're offering dove hunts and quail hunts and varmint hunts, and that seems to be real popular.
So that first night we're sitting in John's office, he fires up his computer and he starts showing us photos.
Anything 6, 7, 8 at the ears or inside the ears can go.
Not outside.
Nothing that's outside the ears unless he's over like 8 years old.
And there's lots of photos, but in this one particular stand, John knew there were 5 mature bucks. Can you believe that? I mean, I've never seen that before, but 5 fully mature bucks frequenting this one area. He needs to manage that property, get some of those older age class bucks out of there.
Even though he's got heavy mass, he's tall, he's pretty, but he's 7, so he can go.
We're talking 6, 7, 8-year-old deer. Really cool deer. Management bucks because they are past their prime or they just never were going to blossom into anything ginormous.
Our ultimate goal is to make sure we have a healthy deer population, healthy animals.
So on this hunt, you get to see that kind of senior level management, kind of graduate level management.
Our long-term management goal is to, take our deer to the farthest level that we can in a low fenced ranch. We don't want the high fence ranch. Most of the guys I talk to and deal with, they don't want to go do a pinned up deer. They want something that's out in the wild that you actually have to hunt. So it makes it more challenging to manage your deer herd whenever you have a low fence ranch. You have to create cores, you have to create perimeters, and it makes it a really difficult thing.
So the particular buck that we're hunting, he is ancient. John didn't even know how old he was, but as he was looking through his trail camera photos, this buck keeps showing up, and not only in the recent photos from this year, they were from the year before, and the year before that, he had them all the way back to 2009. Let me tell you, he's a breathtaking 8-pointer, one that I was going to be very happy to take if I had the opportunity. But John said, Dan, this buck is smart. He really knows his area, and he really knows how to evade us. They tried to kill this deer for over 3 years. Now the Patterson Ranch, they use protein feeders to help these deer get through tough areas. They do feed with a little bit of corn. This is just a supplement. This really isn't a hunting tactic. This is a supplement to the native vegetation down there, which has been scourged by years and years and years of drought. On this particular hunt, Some recent rains had come in, have greened things up a little bit, making it even more difficult to see a deer coming to a protein feeder, because now these deer are on their natural time clock, so to speak, on their feeding behavior. But there was a blind in a spot where these deer were crossing from one protein feeder to a food plot to some more cover, where John thought you might just have a chance to see this deer today. The conditions were perfect, the wind was right, and we just had to make it happen.
Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Browning Trail Cameras, by Alps Outdoors, exceed your expectations, by Thompson Center, America's master gunmaker, by Nikon, the next generation in hunting optics, by Analogics, protect your herd with the power of science, and by Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable.
My great-grandfather, Jefferson Davis Patterson, came to this part of the world in 1880, and it was owned by the state and you couldn't settle it. So he went to work for another outfit and worked for 7 years, and they formed the county in 1887, and my great-grandfather's homesteaded. So this is the oldest ranch in Stonewall County. This is my granddad's original saddle. He rode a horse all his life. He owned 2 saddles, this one here and there's one up at the ranch house.
This ranch in particular, you know, it's special because it's been through many generations of families and survived.
A big reason for that survival has been adapting to change, and one major change has been offering hunts and managing wildlife on the ranch.
Quail hunting, dove hunting, deer hunting, everything that Texas has to offer, which is a very wide variety of animals. It's a very wide variety of different terrains and weather, and keeps it interesting. Keeps me in Texas.
It is one of the coolest locations I've ever seen in Texas because it essentially has it all. John Heaton has built this deer herd to a point where bucks can grow old and prosper, and you can hunt them. This is free-range deer we're talking about, and they're onto you in a second if you're not careful.
Okay, sometimes you have to call an audible when you're hunting. We got into the blind this afternoon. The box blind hadn't been hunted for a long time. It was filled with yellow jackets. I'm allergic to bee stings, so I didn't want to take a chance. Jay, our camera guy, astutely said, sometimes the best hunts happen during the worst circumstances. John came and put us in a different blind. You just never know, you know. Sometimes when you think everything's going wrong for you, something goes right for you. I just have a feeling, don't want to jinx us, I have a feeling tonight might be one of those nights.
The afternoon starts progressing. I don't know if we picked the right spot, you know. We saw one doe. She came out from a food plot. She started just feeding naturally, browsing in front of us. Just was gonna go up to the bedding area, which is where we thought that buck might be. But she milled around just enough. The rut was just on the cusp of happening. This was a young doe, but still it was a doe. And sure enough, as the afternoon wears on a little bit, we see more movement, and here he comes. This buck pops out, but he's standing there and he's staging in the brush. He's not coming to eat. He came out because he knew there was a doe there, and he stood there and he waited and he looked and he waited, and guess what? He locked onto that blind and he caught me in mid-frame. I'm frozen and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. Finally, he's okay, flicks his tail and he starts walking through. That's when I get into position. So he's walking around this little fence. It's actually a hog fence. They put these short fences around the protein feeders so the hogs don't get in there and eat all the protein feed. And I have a window of about 5 yards. 2 steps and he's out of my life. I had to move, and I had to move fast.
Yeah, yes, 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 yes! That might just be the biggest Texas buck I ever shot. Holy cow. He is a dandy. Oh my God, is he dandy. Oh my God. He's the big 8. He's the big 8. He is a giant 8. Wow. Let me put my Mossberg down. He is a giant 8-pointer. That's the biggest 8-pointer I've ever shot. He is just absolutely beautiful. He is a toad.
Congratulations.
And this is what we do in Wisconsin.
Yes,
Well, thank
sir.
you very much. Now, John, you were telling me you've had pictures of this deer for years.
Yes, sir.
What do you think? He's 8 years old?
Yeah, he's 8.5 years old.
Holy cow.
Good job.
Thank you.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful.
He's an awesome buck.
Coming up, Dan returns to the Patterson Ranch with a muzzleloader for a late season management hunt.
The buck's the older age class deer, and what they find is when they get some of those deer into the older age classes, the 6s, the 7s, the 8s, they're being taken out based off of, individual traits. Is that buck a bully? And is he keeping some of those younger deer out of some of the prime areas? That's the things that you got to consider when managing a property.
When Destination Whitetail returns. Dan Schmidt is back on the road in Texas on a return invite from the Patterson Ranch. We have fast-forwarded a few months to the final management hunt in February.
Setting up this hunt in Texas for February was a brand new experience for me. You don't think of deer hunting in February, you think everything is over. Not the case. What I was really excited about was not only extending my season another month, but also going down with a muzzleloader. I had a new Thompson Center. I really wanted to try it out on some real live game. Perfect opportunity on a managed deer land permit in Texas. Man, that thing was right on. It only took about 2 shots to get that thing sighted in. I was so confident and ready for the next morning. I didn't have to worry about anything.
What we try to do on our ranch is, we try to hunt perimeters. We don't drive all over it. And, if you're going to go look for a ranch to hunt in, the biggest things you want to look for is look at the roads. Just that alone will tell you how much traffic is in there, how many feeders are there per acre, how many stands, and look at your deer herd at night, and stuff like that. And that'll really tell you how hard it's been hunted.
This house was built in 1900 by my great-grandfather. My grandfather has added on to it and done some improvements to it, but it's the original furniture and the original house.
So I need to preface this. This is part of the managed deer land permits in Texas. This is a program through the state for private land managers who need to manage their deer properties. They get to the end of deer season and realize there's still X amount of deer that they need to take for their quota. So that's going to be the antlerless segment of the herd, and it's going to afford them the opportunity to take out some more of the bucks in case they haven't already shot enough bucks off their property. The buck's the older age class deer, and what they find is when they get some of those deer into the older age classes, the 6s, the 7s, the 8s, they're being taken out based off of, individual traits. Is that buck a bully? And is he keeping some of those younger deer out of some of the prime areas? That's the things that you got to consider when managing a property.
I classify hunting old bucks into 2 categories: mature older deer and old deer that are almost senile. The kind that probably should be in a nursing home facility or something. Now, hunting those mature bucks, 5, 6, maybe 7 years old, those deer can be savvy, they can be crafty, and they can be the biggest challenge of your whitetail hunting career.
Like this buck.
Yeah,
He's going to be a man.
So there's 5 deer, and he said you could see any one of these 5 at any given sit in this particular area. And there was one on there that, he's pushing 20 inches wide inside. I'm like, that's a really cool deer. If I see that one, I'm probably going to pick him over all these other ones. So anytime any deer shows up, I get excited, and we have deer in front of us pretty much from the start. We have some does, we have some younger deer, we have some smaller bucks, and some of these adult bucks. Lo and behold, deer start showing up, and now we're identifying individual bucks. Yeah, that's the 9-pointer he told us about. That's the big 8-pointer, that's the tall 8-pointer. And here comes the wide 8-pointer. Then I basically had to contain my excitement here. I want to make sure I put that animal down quickly and cleanly. So I had to sit on my thumbs for about a half an hour, waiting for these deer to get into the right position to where I could take the shot. Guy. Watch him. Go down. Go down. He's down right there. He's down. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We just smoked a very wide North Texas buck with the TC. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Wow. But that is a specific buck that we came in here to hunt. There's several of them. That first one, that 7-pointer, I would have gladly taken him. But I saw the 8, and not that I got greedy, but he's much nicer. He's really wide. 6-year-old buck, perfect buck to take out on the last week of muzzleloader season, of deer season here in Texas. Yes. Big buck down. Big buck down.
Dan recovers his Texas trophy.
I mean, I'm 40 yards away and I can see his antlers sticking up. Holy cow.
When Destination Whitetail returns.
Yes, 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 yes. We just smoked a very wide North Texas buck. I mean, I'm 40 yards away and I can see his antlers sticking up. Holy cow. My muzzleloader buck is down. What a buck, holy cow. That SST Hornady bullet really did it to him. Oh my gosh, is he nice. Look at that. What a dandy. That's one of the widest bucks I've ever shot. He's just a beautiful North Texas wide buck. Beautiful 8-pointer. Dang. For me, it was so awesome. It all came together, but it all came together really fast. Not only did we get to pick out the deer we wanted to shoot the night before, like I said, that never happens. We got to see him the next day, and I got to put my crosshairs on him and pull the trigger. It just was a really enjoyable hunt, and it all happened in February.
He's what we call a hit list deer, and they're hard. The hit list deer are very hard to get it done, and I was really happy to get Dan in there, seasoned hunter, somebody who knew what he was looking at, and it just happened for us. The deer came out, the big mature buck, and Dan got it done.
You know, we're all one big deer hunting family, whether we're from the north or we're from the south. And we do things differently. If you're down south, a lot of places don't require orange, and you're not going to catch people wearing orange. If you're up north, different story. Everybody's wearing orange. Up north, we gut our deer in the woods on the ground. Normally, you never find anybody bringing their deer into camp, but I find it's different in the south. I'm here with my buddy John Eaton. John, I know you're a true southerner, and you do things differently. You bring your deer in, and you gut them while you have them back at camp. What are some of the reasons for this?
Okay, well, I mean, some of the reasons for us is that, you know, just the sheer numbers of deer that, I mean, that we shoot each year, we can actually access the animal. We can drive right up to it. We don't have to, you know.
You don't
do
really
that.
have like big
Yeah.
ravines and
Yeah.
you know gullies that you have to go through normally,
Exactly.
and you can normally drive a pickup or an ATV
Yeah.
or something and get your deer out. So that's one reason.
That's a big reason, you know, and another reason is, it's just to me it's just easier to clean because I'm just used to it for one. But it seems to me that my meat gets cleaner.
Meat gets cleaner. Another
Yeah.
thing that we should really point out is southern habitat, especially in some areas, has really sandy, gritty soil.
Absolutely.
And that can, and clouds of dust, it's dry.
Uh-huh.
You're bringing back a deer that's gutted out, you're getting a lot of foreign material inside of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So we thought this was going to be a quick hunt. We thought it was going to happen fast. And the reason why is John is such a good deer manager. He manages that ranch specifically for older age class animals. On the bucks, easy to do in Texas. You have a lot more things you can look at. The body characteristics, the antler characteristics, obviously. But he can get those deer in front of trail cameras and track them throughout the years. John knew specifically some stands that we could sit where we would see specific deer.
This year he just happened to step out and Dan got it done. So I couldn't be happier about that.